Hi there, welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shawalker, your host, and today we're going to be checking out this new project from Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, An Evening with Silk Sonic. The single Leave the Door Open was one of my favorite songs when it dropped back in March. The 70s P-Funk soul throwback sounds were just so obvious of a combo that in hindsight I'm just kind of amazed it didn't happen sooner. What gets me going even more on this album is the addition of Bootsy Collins, which to me is insane as an MC for the entire record. He's only technically featured in one song on the album, but even still, he is all over this album. He's one of the most crucial pieces for the whole record. So the first song on the album is the Silk Sonic intro. This is a great tone setter for the whole album that just kind of is a bit of a cornucopia of condensed groove that reaches this apex of Bootsy Collins introducing the record and the band. The track itself is kind of used as a big reveal, like, oh shit, yeah, we did get Bootsy, here he is, and the payoff is immediate. I really fucking love it. It's awesome. That track obviously leads into Leave the Door Open, which I already touched on a little bit. At this point, the song has been out long enough that you've probably already heard it. Despite the song being a victim of being overplayed, this track is still very tight and clean. There's no other way to really describe the track other than entirely smooth. This song seems to stand out to me compared to the rest of the songs on the album, as it has this vibe that the track was kind of one of the first written, or at the very least helped kind of structure the rest of the sound of the album. There's a lot of these big swinging R&B anthems on this album, but this one is especially loud in its delivery. It's a great song, and I can't really help but wonder how out of hand this track could be if you just maybe added a few more R&B singers to it. I mean, the sound is just massive. Next track is Fly As Me. This song immediately hooked me on my first listen, and I think it is one of the best songs of any genre for this year. The callbacks to Parliament, Stevie Wonder, Slave, James Brown, and other funk acts, Motown and early hip-hop artists here are just so tasteful and well thought out. This track is just an absolute treat. Up next is After Last Night. This one actually features Thundercat and Bootsy for another of these big swinging sexy tracks. The intro for this song has the lovely familiar Thundercat crooning. Bootsy has a killer spoken word part over top of what sounds like a sample or a very similar riff to the main riff from I'd Rather Be With You, which lands really well. In some ways this almost feels like a sequel to that track, or like a blend of that song with modern sensibilities. Also, this song has such a great building guitar solo that when paired with the vocals on the song meshes really just perfectly with the harmonies. The next song is Smoking Out the Window. This one lyrically is a little bit silly, but I still like the storytelling compared with some of the rhyme schemes. They take what would be a fairly ordinary track, and with this instrumental turn it into an outstanding song. I do wish it was a little bit more varied from the last track, but that's something that's kind of recurring on this album. The consistency is a bit of a strength, or well, it is a strength as much as it is a bit of a detriment for this album, because I just want to dig in and hear kind of every angle and every facet for this album. Up next is Put on a Smile. I think the quality of this album takes a small dip here. It's not really anything crazy, but it's just really slight. The lyrics kind of come across as a bit melodramatic, but that kind of seems to be the whole thing for this track, and they lean into it so hard that it makes up for it a lot. So the performances here are just really top-notch. Nothing is wasted on this song. Put on a Smile is a really great track to kind of just have on and zone out to, with a few moments that draw you in well enough just due to the performances. The next song is 777. This one is another excellent funk-driven song and another of my favorite listens on this album. From the very first moments of that blown-out bass line, this track absolutely crushes. It's like you took all of the big funky tracks from the past few years and just rendered them down into the funkiest, gnarliest essence you can get and dumped them onto a Mac with Pro Tools open. The theme of Vegas is kind of completely negligible because the song goes just so fucking hard. I mean, this song could be about anything and this song would still kick ass. I think the one tragic thing about this song is that it is the shortest full-length track on the whole album. The second to last song is Skate. This song is incredibly dancey and it actually lands in this really weird pseudo Daft Punk minus the robot sound. Like, a lot of this song sounds like it could have been like an outtake off of Random Access Memories, or maybe a bonus track. I love the pairing of guitars and orchestral sections. They mingle really well, and all of the arrangements are just wonderfully done on this track. Final song is Blast Off. This song pulls everything together for this final ballad that has a few segments, all of which pace themselves really well. The theatrics of this song are some of the most dynamic of any of the songs here. There's a light dusting of psychedelia on this song too, with some really fucking cool 60s sounding guitar effects layered all over this song. The final segment of this track is just this kind of killer ascent to the musical stars. I mean, it's kind of like being cradled by a choir of angels, and it sounds, a little bit silly, a little bit goofy, but God, I mean, it just rules. And Bootsy just gives you a final goodbye, and that is the end of an evening with Silk Sonic. I'd been making a bit of a list of new releases to cover when I remembered that this album was due out pretty much any day now, and lo and behold, it came out the next day, so the timing really could not have been any better for this album for me. I've spent the past several days absolutely stunned with just how good the album is. I mean, like, really shocked. I thought it was going to be, like, good, but I didn't realize just how good. And I think while this album does have a few drawbacks, this is one of the best releases of the year and overall just a solid album. I would give An Evening with Silk Sonic a hard 9. Thank you all so much again for watching. I really appreciate all of you. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and drop a like on this video. It helps out immensely. And finally, check out my Instagram and my Reverb store. Links to those are in the description below. Thank you all so much again, and we'll see you on the flip side.